start then. Welcome, everybody. Today, the day starts with a presentation of the Chamber of Commerce, more specifically the StartersCentrum. Is that the right translation, Marcel?
Yeah, StartersCentrum in Dutch, yeah, but yeah, StartersCentrum in English.
Yeah. And Marcel and Ger, I know them for a really long time. They helped me to start my own company. And we are meeting all these years, then here and then there. So I thought it would be interesting if they tell us something about a new project that they did. They experimented with some new things, also with municipalities. And yeah, well, I think Marcel can explain it a lot better than I can. So Marcel,
thank you.
Presentation.
Thank you.
Please shut down all the cameras and mute so we can record the presentation properly.
Great. And when there are questions, we can see them raise the hand. I will just interfere and interrupt Marcel.
Or put your camera on and your mic and ask a question so we can see.
Yeah. Okay. Now, yeah, thank you, Linda, and welcome all. As said, my name is Marcel. I'm working as a business coach, as a startup coach for the StartersCentrum. And yeah, I would like to tell you a story about the way promoting entrepreneurship is organized in Limburg province, and also mainly about what we do on social entrepreneurship. We try to promote people to start a business, and what we discovered in recent years is that more and more people are starting a company in a way that we call part-time. They don't want to get a full income out of it, but they're just gaining some income as part of maintaining their lives. And in order to do that from a social welfare perspective, there are some regulations in our country, and this is what I would like to discuss with you in the coming half an hour. I prepared a presentation for you, which I would like to show to you. And let's say at the end of the presentation, it's about 20 sheets. We have enough time to have a discussion about that. So the Q&A I would like to save for, let's say, the end of the presentation. Let's see, I will try to put it on my screen. Yes, this is it. All right. Now, what I would like to discuss with you is social entrepreneurship from a social welfare perspective, and in this to discuss the advantages of part-time entrepreneurship. But let me briefly start with a small overview of what we do. What you see here are three Italian guys. They are studying in Maastricht, and they started a business in importing Italian wine from their home area. And their business is quite small. It started quite small, but it's growing rapidly due to the effort they put in it. But of course, their main activity is studying in Maastricht. So the business is not aiming to be so big that they can make a living out of it. They have other future plans. But just having a small business gives them some extra money in order to and make a good time over here. Now, what about us? The StartersCentrum is, let's say, a free agency for startups in Limburg. And as Linda told you, we were once established by the Chamber of Commerce, but 6 years ago, we became a kind of independent organization. And we are funded as a foundation, so we are a public institute. And what we mainly do is we help people in starting up a company, a business in our province, Limburg. And we do that through different ways. Here you see our services. We organize informative group meetings like seminars and, due to the corona crisis, also webinars. We have individual talks, coaching sessions. We organize projects, network meetings, startup events. And we can do that free of charge because we are funded by municipalities. And on the map on the right side, you see an overview of, let's say, the 31 municipalities we have in Limburg province. And out of the 31, there are 18 municipalities which are supporting us. These are the blue-green municipalities. and the red ones still not support us. So it means that people from the green-blue area can make free use of our services. It's a kind of public service. Our target group are mainly people with a business idea. This is what we call pre-starters in this province. And we don't make any branch selection. So in fact, anyone with a business idea, green, fresh or mature, can come to us, and we try to help this person in order to establish a company. So we are aiming both part-time and full-time entrepreneurs. And because of our, let's say, heritage, we have a lot of people who start a company from a social insurance situation. So depending on, let's say, social welfare of unemployment benefits, it's even more than 65% at the moment. So what we mainly do is try to help people starting a company from this situation in order to give them some income. Now you see some figures about our contacts in 2019. We had 1,100 unique customers. They had some 2,300 services which were delivered. And as a result, it means that we are on the base of about 500 starters a year, and 300 out of them are starting from a social insurance situation. Now, in total, the amount of people in Limburg province who are aiming to start a company is about 15,000 a year. So this means that, let's say, about 1/6 of the people in Limburg got in contact with our organization. When you see it in total in our province, here you see some figures about people who start a company in this province. Last year it was about 10,000, but contrary, there are also a lot of people who terminate their business, and these figures are quite huge. You see last year more than 7,300 people stopped their company in our country, in our province. Which means that on average, gradually it's growing, the amount of companies in our country, but not every company who starts is successful. In fact, they say within the first 5 years, about 40% of the companies will disappear. So there is a huge turnover. And what we mainly do as an organization is, helping people to maintain their company, to make a sustainable company in a few years, just by helping them to prepare well in order to have a proper business. Now, in total in Holland, the amount of starting entrepreneurs is enormous. You see, in last year it was 230,000 people who started a new company. 10 years ago it was only about 60,000. So it nearly more than tripled in the last decade. There is a huge influx of new companies, which says something about, let's say, the flexibility of our labor market, but it also says something about the entrepreneurial mindset in our country. The main part of these startups are people who start a business for themselves, and this is what we call sole entrepreneurship, or one-man businesses. So only a small part of these startups will grow and will finally work with employees and that kind of things. But 90% out of it are just people working for themselves. What we call in our language the ZZP'er, the independent professional without employees. But this is the main part of the startups in our country. Now here you see an overview of our website. Last 3-4 years we have a huge influx also of people who coming from outside the Netherlands, mainly in the Maastricht area because of university. We have a lot of students, expats, people who look for asylum from Syria, Iraq. So we get more and more international contacts, and because of this, we also decided to offer our services in English. Now we starting up a business. We see it as a very serious business in our country. And our approach is that we want to be as accessible as possible. Our services are free of charge. We try to be independent. We are experienced, and we love to help people personally, just by giving them one-to-one talks, personal advice, personal information, and we help them reflecting on their business idea. And not every idea, of course, is a sustainable idea or could be worked out into a company. So what we mainly do is helping people to develop their ideas into a plan. We help people with making business plan. And sometimes you have to say that their idea is not valuable, it's not sustainable. So we call it a kind of positive discouragement. You can also not start a company and do something else. We look over the risks people are going to take. And we do that not alone. We also do that in combination with other public institutes and educational institutes in our province. So in fact, we are a kind of chain partner in the public service. After people start, let's say after 1 or 2 years after their start, we would leave them, not leave them behind, but we would say the market is taking it over. Commercial parties are there in order to help people to develop their company further. So we don't want to get involved in, let's say, the commercial services which are being offered. And because 65% of our people start from a social insurance situation, we have a lot of contact with departments from municipalities, with the huge organization UWV in our country, which give unemployment benefits. And also we have a lot of contact with economic departments within municipalities about their startup policies. So in fact, we are a kind of modern network organization focusing on starting entrepreneurship in our province. Now we're working out of 4 major cities. You see our offices, or part of our offices. Our main office is in Heerlen, but we have working locations in Sittard-Geleen, Roermond and Maastricht. And when you talk about entrepreneurship in the Netherlands, in fact, you have to deal with 2 organizations at least. First of all, that's the Chamber of Commerce, or in our language is called the Kamer van Koophandel, KVK. The Chamber of Commerce is a national institute which is responsible for our national trade register law. And this law says that anyone who would like to participate in economic affairs on a regular basis needs to have a registration with the trade register of the Chamber of Commerce, which means that whenever you would like to start up, you need to go to the chamber to have your registration done. Now, the same time you are there, you're being registered also with our tax authority, the Belastingdienst. And every entrepreneur has to deal with both the VAT, the turnover tax or sales tax, and income tax. Anyone who is having an income in our country needs to pay income tax. And you have to deal with it with our national tax authority. As said, the Chamber of Commerce has this national business register. It's compulsory. You register yourself at the moment you start with your activity. And whenever you start, you need to choose for a legal entity. And as many of you will know, there are different legal entities. In English, you have the LTD. But the most common one in our country is what we call the sole proprietorship or one-man business. And this, in 92% of the cases, is the most chosen legal form in our country. Registration process is quite made easy. You do your online registration and you make after that you make a appointment in an office, and for Limburg province that is in Roermond, and then you finalize your registration, and from the moment you have been there, you are allowed to start. So in fact, this is the only administrative thing you need to do in order to start a company. Now, what we do in helping people to prepare for a start is using a roadmap. And here you see a small overview of the 7 steps we mainly use in this roadmap. It starts with exploring your idea, helping people with making business plan, choosing for a legal form, supporting them with marketing, finance, administration, and just let's say the 7 steps you need to do in order to start and to kick off. Now, then we focus also on this item of part-time entrepreneurship as part of our social entrepreneurship attitude. And what's part-time entrepreneurship called? It's a way of generating some income as a self-employed person beside your social welfare, which is not being considered as income out of a job or full-time entrepreneurship. So we are mainly talking here about entrepreneurs who earn part of their income out of having a small company. There are some details about that. It should be for a limited amount of hours a week. And we call someone a part-time entrepreneur if the person doesn't work more than 20 hours a week in the company. It's partially self-supporting and generating some income. Next to the income, of course, people have social welfare, which means that part of their profit should be settled with their social welfare. It's in our country not possible to have both a full income from a company besides social welfare. So it means you have to settle these profits. And this could lead to some discussion, of course. Now, helping people in order to start a company as a part-time entrepreneur is also kind of instrument for reintegration. So in order to help people, we accompany them. And this regulation about this part-time entrepreneurship, in fact, came into mind of the municipality starting in 2012. And it was accelerated by a department of the municipalities, a cooperating department called Divosa in 2015. So the last 8 to 5 years, there is gradually kind of increase in promoting and supporting part-time entrepreneurship as a source of income. And down there you see municipalities in Limburg are gradually picking it up. Of course, the biggest municipality, Maastricht, started first, but we see now that more and more municipalities are adapting ways in order to help people starting a part-time entrepreneur. The recent situation was first that when people are depending on social welfare, you start to stimulate them to find a job. And if they don't like, or they don't find a job, another way was supporting them to start a full-time company. And for that, we had a regulation in our country which was called BBZ, a regulation for starting full-time entrepreneurs. But the difficult thing about that was that when you want to start a full-time company out of social welfare, they say you have to be economic sustainable. So this means that within a certain period, and mostly they say within 3 years, you have to have a sustainable company. So you have to make a living out of your company. And in our country, it means that you need to have an income of at least 1,200 to 1,400 euro net a month. And most of these initiatives failed because people couldn't make so much income out of it. And this was really a pity because about half of the people who applied for this BBZ fall out because of this economic sustainability issue. And in fact, what part-time entrepreneurship does is filling the gap between the job and a full-time company. So it means that adapting these regulations about part-time entrepreneurship, it means you don't need to be economic sustainable to have a company. It's just okay if you earn a few €100 a month out of it next to your social welfare. And this has huge advantages, as you can see here. So by leaving this philosophy of economic sustainability and self-supporting, people are very happy to be involved again in some entrepreneurship. They earn part of their income out of doing a business activity. A benefit is also that to give people permission for that, it's a quick decision process because you don't need to have a kind of assessment on sustainability. No, just the people from the social welfare employee department can decide, okay, let's give this person a chance in order to gain some income. And of course, the person to apply for that and make use of this part-time entrepreneurship should be available for regular work for the remaining part. But we see that whenever people start a small business, their chances in having a let's say a job increase tremendously. By participating, they get a new context. They are being involved in a new network. They get they get more self-confidence, that kind of thing. So it's a very good way in reintegrating people towards a more regular life with a job combined with a company. Now, what's needed for that are clear arrangements, of course, and also some good arrangements about the time they put in it, the period they are allowed to do that, and also about their investment or cost. What are reasonable investments? And of course, people who have social welfare, they don't have a lot of money to invest, but you should make good arrangements about what they could would they need to invest in order to make a proper company and to make a proper business. Now, of course, we help people in developing their knowledge and skills about that, and we give them administrative support. And it's also mutual, because you really build up let's say a good relation with someone whenever a person starts as a part-time entrepreneur. And this is what we do out of our services in the Starter Center. Now here you see some examples of part-time entrepreneurs. Left up you see a Syrian guy who started a business in selling food items for asylum seekers at our asylum centra. You see a lady with a small kiosk, someone who is making furniture out of waste material. A lady cleaning cars. Someone who's selling this small model trains and that kind of thing. So all small initiatives started with the help of the regulations for small entrepreneurs. Now, so far my presentation. So see it as a kind of overview of the way part-time entrepreneurship could help people in order to get some income. And this is, for us, it's a very good way of social entrepreneurship in our area, and it works quite well. And we are promoting it through all municipalities in order to adapt regulations for that. Okay, I will end my sharing my presentation to you. I would like to ask Linda if she could unmute all.
I can't unmute all, but
then this happens.
Welcome back, everyone. I hear myself twice, so I think someone has not muted.
Okay.
I think it's Marcel.
Oh, sorry, myself, yeah?
Yeah. Well, thank you, Marcel, for this presentation.
Yeah.
I think this fits perfectly into our group. Does somebody have any questions or things you like to share?
Yeah, I might just ask a quick question. Marcel, you do similar work to what we do here in Ireland, so it's great to hear your presentation. It rings a lot of bells with us. Do you provide funding to the clients that come into you?
No, we just provide advice and information services, but we cooperate with, of course, banks, and also we have in our country an institute called Credits, and they are supplying microfinance to startups and mainly to small startups. So we cooperate with the Microfinance Institute in our country, which is called Credits.
Okay.
It's a nationwide institute. In fact, it's also a bank established by the other banks, but it gives small credits up to €50,000 for startups.
Wow, brilliant. And is there any public funding available to startups in your country?
Yeah, if you start from a social welfare situation, you have the possibility to apply for a kind of funding from this regulation up to €35,000 funding. But whenever you would apply for this funding, you really have a tough assessment. Because they don't give it right away. Your company will be assessed, and this funding is only available for people who start as a full-time company. So people who start as a part-time entrepreneur need to fund their company themselves by using this credit system. So this is a division in that.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Alex, I thought, has having a question?
Very similar observations to what Siobhan has just asked. One of the exercises that we're doing is trying to identify different forms of funding for these enterprises, and effectively what you said is kind of similar to what happens in Wales. Okay. So that was really interesting to hear. Yeah. I think I'm right in saying the Netherlands has a more long-established culture of entrepreneurship, perhaps, than we do in South Wales. That might be a bit too general a statement, but yeah, it's a very interesting talk. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Alex, may I ask you, and also the other ones, if you talk about funding for entrepreneurs, our experience in the Netherlands is that most of the starting entrepreneurs just need some small amounts of investment, starting from, let's say, a few €100 up to 10,000 or 15,000. It doesn't go about huge amounts. We have a lot of coaches, people with personal services, business-to-business services, small shops, web shops, this kind of things. And these people only need mostly a few thousand euros. So their investment need is quite low compared to other companies.
I think that's a fair comment. I guess there are, as we've been learning over the last couple of days, South Wales shares some of the issues that Helene has experienced in terms of post-heavy industrial decline. So in terms of, unlike, say, the southeast of England, perhaps the availability or the avenue towards creating an enterprise is slightly different. The seed money, that initial money to prime the organisation is something that I think we definitely still need. We do have funds, micro business funds up to £50,000 sterling. And I think it's a fair observation. If the business plan is showing that the entity can wash its face, it's really got to be up and running within 3 to 5 years. So yeah, in terms of that, it's not like it's not like creating a new vacuum making factory. It's your single operators, and how they go about their business, which again, similarly to what you were saying, we have a lot of singly run businesses.
Yeah, clear. Yeah, it's comparative with us. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Murray raised his hand.
Yeah, thanks. I'll lower my hand now. I was very interested in the presentation, Marcel. Just from my understanding about how your support mechanism works for your mainstream clients, do you support not just those that are on social welfare, but any entrepreneur that's looking to establish a business? So in the amongst the companies that you're supporting, there are presumably some that will always be simply self-employed, and there will be others that may well be shooting stars. They may be growing businesses. Do you make an assessment at an early stage or at key points during the support to be able to stream off different levels of support appropriate to a client? For example, self-employed, it's the volume approach. You said the vast majority are only looking to make an income, run their own business. They're not likely to employ other people. Therefore, maybe the support you give them is suited to the resources that you have, because it's many people. So you provide a lot of support to many people. But for those that maybe have great potential, Do you give them additional support? Do you refer them off to a specialist agency? I think that's Southeast BIC, who are here today. They do similar sort of activities.
Yeah. No, that's true, Murray. We, in fact, what we offer is a kind of basic service. But at the moment, we discover very promising business ideas of people with very promising ideas. We are in close cooperation with some incubators in our province. We have a system of, let's say, the Brightlands incubators, where, let's say, the really high-tech startups can have a proper support in developing their business ideas. But this is mainly for the high-tech startups. And what we mainly discover sometimes is that when we have people with very good business ideas, we could see them and we could help them just a few times a year, but we don't have the capacity and we don't have the services to help them for the longer time. And this is really what is lacking us at the moment. And this is also because, as you said, we offer our services to a few thousand people a year, and we don't have the capacity to for one-to-one coaching on a longer time. And for the high-tech startups, there is something, but for the group in between, there is nothing, unfortunately. So this is an issue. That's true.
But do you often refer then off when you have a client, or is it likely that these high growth or tech startups would go somewhere else initially, or do you often get them and then?
No, we get them mainly because we have good relations also with universities. But at the moment we discover we cannot handle this anymore because they request too much. We refer them to a system of incubators, and we have 4 different, let's say, incubators around Maastricht. We have the biomedical campus, all initiatives in the field of biomedics. In the Sittard-Geleen area, we have we call it the Gemmelot area and the Brightlands Gemmelot campus, which is mainly focusing on material design and that kind of things, and chemical issues. In Heerlen, we have the Smart Services campus, focusing on ICT initiatives and blockchain technology and that kind of things. And in Venlo, the last city, we have the green campus, which is mainly focusing on agriculture. So we have different fields where we can put people to or refer them to. But as said, there is also a group which falls in between. They don't have anything. For instance, we had someone who developed a web shop in vintage clothing, which is not particularly very special, but it grew very, very fast, and they had a lot of questions in speeding up their business and logistics and supply chain management and that kind of things. And of course, we could spar with them a few times a year, but we don't have the capacity to help them hand to hand. So, for these people, we have to say, you have to look yourself with commercial yourself with commercial partners.
Is that a part, Marcel, of the more soft entrepreneurs? So socio-economical. That kind of entrepreneurs.
Yeah, also we have also a lot of people who have just they would like to have a kind of social impact on their in their environment and their surroundings, but for these people, we could help them, of course, with some basic services, but we don't have the capacity, as said, to help them more often. So for them, it would be good if there would be something in our province to help them more in a proper way. And we see difference there in the Netherlands. We are in contact with an organization in Twente, which is in the east part of Holland, and there is an organization called the ROZ. They offer a lot of support, and they are funded with money from municipalities, but we are working with 4 full-time employees, but they have about 40. They have 10 times as much employees, because the municipalities see the importance of social entrepreneurship, and they put up a whole organization for that. So there is differences in approach in our country depending on municipalities and policy of municipalities.
That's exactly what we are experiencing in our City Lab.
Yeah.
Yesterday I told our group, well, there is something that we miss, and that's the support system of these social entrepreneurs on a longer term. Yeah.
And it starts with awareness with policymakers and municipalities, provinces, and also our national government. Yeah. So
we have work to do.
Yes, that's true. But therefore, it's also good to exchange ideas like this,
Yes.
because it's yeah, perfect. Yeah. Any other questions? Now, I would share my presentation with Linda and Monique. So I hope, and in case you need more information about us, just feel free to contact me. I will put my contact details on it. So we're always available to help you with any questions you have. And whenever you are around here in Limburg province, feel free to pass by anytime.
Especially when we are in Heerlen, because it's a very cool office they have.
On Seawell, you mean, Linda?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But I have cool offices as well in Maastricht and Sittard. So
I've never visited them.
oh,
That's weird. So
Yeah.
that's the next appointment. Frederick, do you have a question?
Yeah. Yes. Just I mean, it's not really a question. Yes, it's a question, but. We have a chamber of commerce also in Luxembourg, and it's pretty hard to convince them also to listen to social economy, social entrepreneurship. It's not at all in their software, so I don't know.
yeah.
What would be your advice to communicate on this idea of social entrepreneurship with people who are historically focused on traditional economy, you know, with I don't know, that's our feeling that we don't have the ear of the Chamber of Commerce very often, because they think we are like so in the social the social area, but they miss that there is this business part. Okay. I think it's a pity, and it's really in the communication and a long-term approach to have an exchange we should have with the Chamber of Commerce. I don't know if you have inputs on that. But,
Friedrich, what works well for us is that whenever we have good initiatives, also from social entrepreneurs, we try to bring these entrepreneurs in contact with the policymakers. Just by organizing just a meeting or an excursion or that kind of things, and also using our social media in order to give them a platform. For instance, we have an active Facebook page and Instagram page, and what we mainly do is every week we have a starter of the week. So if we have a good social entrepreneur, we put him on, let's say, the internet, and we make him the starter of the week. And it's being sent, and also in our newsletters to all the policymakers we know in this province. So we're using public relations in order to give them a platform, and we also bring them personally in contact with policymakers just by organizing meetings and personal contact with them. And it works quite well. For instance, last January we had a huge meeting for people from the social welfare department in Maastricht. And we brought a visit to 4 entrepreneurs who started a company from their home. So we just went to the people at home, a yoga teacher, someone with a web shop, and we just had a nice talk in the sitting room with about 10 policymakers. And I discovered these kind of contacts are very, very valuable, because they can see what people do from their home, how they have webinars or yoga lessons from behind their computer, that kind of thing. So personal contact is there the issue. Bring them together. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I think it's Linda. It's also similar with the what we have experienced with the city workplace. That's for volunteers, so they won't go to Marcel and to Ger. But what we found out is that they wanted to discuss with our how do you say, not with the mayor, but with the other people in the municipality. Chairman. And the chairman, they couldn't get a connection, and it was really difficult, because this chairman said, okay, I want to do that. It's a great initiative. But then they worked with the policymakers, and the policymakers had to make some budget free, and they couldn't find it. So that will take them months and months just to realize it. And these people want to go further, mainly because they also already had a grant for, I thought, 60,000 euros.
65,000 euros.
And they could lose it because, they were running out of time. Yeah, our policymakers and our chairman, it was not a priority. And that was great what Job has done, our broker. He tried to connect with his own connections in our municipality or with my help to get the appointment. And then you'll see that the people need to be taken seriously. And if they are being taken seriously, you have to follow it up. And Job does that really well. Mm-hmm. So you really have to fight for it.
Yeah. And what I see in the City Lab and also in Gebroken Bos is that I see a business in everything. that's good or not, I don't know. But I see a lot of people who have just a good idea and they are totally unaware of their capacity to develop it further to a real business. Yeah. They all think, oh, it's fine, and I don't want to earn money, and but they are voluntarily involved. And I think, well, you can earn some money with this idea. You have to search your support, and that's what we are trying to do, just to develop these ideas further.
Yeah, that's true. That many people are professional, they have skills, but they are not an entrepreneur yet, and they don't see the entrepreneurial value of the thing they are doing. So
absolutely,
it needs some assistance and promotion.
Yes.
Yeah. Clear?
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
No more questions?
Nothing in the chat.
Okay.
Marcel, I think I'm going to write a LinkedIn message for our page. Do you mind if I tag you?
No, just go ahead. Feel free. Okay. Yeah, no problem.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you all. The next meeting is at what was it? 12 or 12 for your time?
13.
Our time. 13.
It's 12, yes.
Yeah. With Joop de Kraker. So we'll have a good cup of coffee and we'll see you soon.
All right.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right.